What's up, everybody? TJ here. Real quick before we get started with the episode, I'm testing out a new feature called Fan Mail, which is where you can actually text me from the episode that you're listening to. So as you're listening to this, go over to the episode description, and right there at the beginning, you're going to see some text that says, send me a text message. Go ahead, click that. Let me know what you think about the podcast so far. Let me know of any questions, concerns, anything you might have. I love to hear from you. So go ahead, hit that up. I'm excited to read your text, and let's get started with the episode.
I just want to be someone who, when you're looking at telestaff and you see I'm on your shift, you're like, good, I can rely on that person. I don't have to worry that they're going to come in and not gel with the shift or not pull their weight or not know what they're doing. It will probably always be my goal. I will always want to be someone who is useful on a team and useful in a situation of crisis, a person other people can comfortably rely on.
Welcome to the Keep the Promise podcast, where we help build resilient and well-rounded firefighters.
Did they ask you that question in the interview?
What do you know about Howard County? Everything.
I know where.
Right.
She's like, what?
Yeah, I think at the precipice of it, I didn't, again, because I make snap judgments, I didn't in my head play out all of the steps. I was just like, yeah, I'll just go back to another academy.
Were you on the couch when you made this decision?
Probably. And so when I did get, I was so like I said, I tried to get in here first.
Mm-hmm.
I live here. My kids go to school here. I'm 6 minutes from my station. Like, this is my community. I loved the idea of serving the community that I live in. The people that I see all the time. So I really thought it was a good opportunity to, at the young, spry age of 43, go through a 7-month academy and get back and start all over from the beginning. I think that I suppressed, because I think if I had let that bubble up, I would have been a little bit more wishy-washy. So I'm glad I didn't. I'm very glad I didn't. Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
When?
When you decided, I'm going to go through, and because that marks number 3 that we know of any sort of structured training program that you've gone through in your life. Most people say they would never do a fire academy, and you're like, academy number 2, and I was in the Marine Corps, so bring it.
I think, again, I fell back on the I've done it before. I know what I'm walking into. I thought I did, at least. This one was different. This one's
really
different than Baltimore, for sure. I know how to live in that world. I know how to walk that path, somewhat. I tripped and stumbled enough, but, so it wasn't daunting to me. It wasn't so uncomfortable because it was so unknown. So I think that helped.
I was going to say,
I managed to convince myself it wasn't going to be that bad. I was like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I've done it before. It'll be fine. So that also helped, get me back into doing it. I think about it now and I'm like, I don't ever want to do it again. I think I think about the kids in the academy now and I'm like, oh my God, you poor kids. It's a long time to, and I could have gone through Marine Corps boot camp twice in that amount of time. Baltimore County Academy, when I went through, now they do EMT in Baltimore County. They didn't at the time. So my Baltimore Academy was only 13 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. Just fire and EMR. So, the amount of time you spend in the Howard County, and you come out with more credentials, you come out with more certifications, and you come out actually having been in a fire engine.
What a concept! What a novel concept.
I think, like I said, convincing myself it wasn't going to be that bad was what got me to go back. But
your previous experience must have given you a bit of like a quiet calm about it.
So, and this was a source of contention for me in the academy. I tried very hard, and I know that I actually failed at it because I was told that I failed at it. I tried to walk the fine line of, yes, I have done this before, but I want to show you that I'm buying in, that I'm vested. So, I didn't want to be one of the people who go through EMT again and they walk in and just fall asleep right away. So I tried to balance that. No, I'm paying attention. Like I'm listening. I'm here. And like then seeming like a know-it-all. I think I tripped over into the know-it-all side a little more than I wanted to, but the intention was to show that I was bought into the process and that I'm here and I'm present. And despite having, done this with a little bit of experience, I'm still here and I still want to be here. And I'm still, you want them to know that I'm not just coasting because I've been an EMT for 5 years and worked wherever I worked. So that was difficult for me. And I think that's something, if you're coming into an academy with any kind of experience, that it's a difficult line to walk, but it's the one worth walking. You don't want to be the know-it-all that tells the stories. Well, this is how I did it here, but you don't want to be the person that is so lackadaisical because they know it that they're not involved. So you don't know a fire truck's red until they tell you. And yeah, it was, like I said, it was a difficult line, and I know that I didn't walk it as well as I wish I had. But
it's a humbling experience.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And especially when you're my age and, you got 19-year-olds in there with you, like you're certainly, humbled.
How did that experience change your overall perspective on the fire service? Because you have gotten to experience it, that kaleidoscope almost from so many different angles. Most of us just come in and we're like recruits, go through the academy, go into the career. You've been in, you've been out, you've tried again.
Yeah.
You've gone through it a second time.
Career probation.
We did have a couple of there's a couple guys who did like 2 academies with us and then went and did another academy elsewhere. They just love academy life. What would you tell yourself from a couple years ago, being where you are now?
And I've been asked that, like, would you do it again? And yeah, of course I would. To me, it was worth it. I wonder if there was a maybe a more direct path I could have taken to get here, but I wouldn't have given up the experiences I had in my previous department or the experiences I had doing the humanitarian aid, just to have made this process more comfortable or more timely. So wait, what? Hey.
You're looking at Katy from a couple years ago. Knowing what you know now, having been where you've been, what would you tell her?
It's not going to be as easy as you think it's going to be. you're certainly, which you almost have to think it's going to be easy, right, to do it.
Mhm.
You have to think that it's going to be a seamless plug and play just to get yourself into it. But I did, and a credit to the Howard County Academy, I did think it was going to be a lot easier than it was. That's for sure. And I think there's so many things that attribute it to the level of difficulty. One being the length of time, and two, it's just structured much more paramilitary than Baltimore County was. So yeah, it's not going to be as easy, but it's certainly going to be worth it, because to end up where I am now, I love my shift. I love my station. I love how this department feels overall. I can't explain it. People are like, what's different? I was like, it feels different here. It feels different here. Sure, there are like the little nuances that make it obviously better. Like, you guys don't have to, we don't have to paint hydrants here. That's amazing.
Don't give anybody any ideas.
But it's just feels different, which I'm glad that I got here. I would tell, if I could go back to first year Baltimore County Katy, who was really not enjoying her probationary periods, 2 years there. You're on probation for 2 years. Yeah. And be like, hey, it's not like that everywhere. When I was about to come out into the field here, I was very apprehensive. I had a lot of anxiety because all I knew was that year. And I was like,
not again.
Right. But I was like bracing myself for it. And you're bracing yourself for the wave that never hits you. And that was a very, very nice sigh of relief, to come out into the field and you get to your station and Jeff Schilling walks up and hugs you and you're like, what? Where am I? So it was really
nice. He's a different breed.
Yeah.
He's a solid dude.
She sure is. He's fantastic. They all are. My whole shift's fantastic.
Yeah, you got a pretty good shift.
I do.
Yeah.
I've got some good people over there.
Kenny.
Just give him a big bite.
Oh, God. I got stories about Kenny.
No.
From Pensacola. I'm surprised we didn't get banned from that hotel doing some of the things that we did to him, but I'm not sure about the statute of limitations on that, so we are not going to delve any deeper into that. So let's step away from the fire service for a bit. Let's talk about everyday life.
Sure.
Talk to me about physical fitness.
Physical fitness.
I've seen don't even. I've seen the videos of you doing some wild stuff
and
in the gym.
I will say that I have not, everyone's like, oh, it's easy for you. I am not a genetically predisposed athletic person whatsoever. People are always like, oh, like what, how do you get there? What's your mental, whatever. I'm like, it's literally a choice you have to make, and you have to make that choice every single day. You have to choose, they choose violence. You have to choose that lifestyle every day. It never becomes putting yourself in a position where you're going to be uncomfortable for 2 hours a day. Like, that never is something like, yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait for that. So you have to choose it. And you sometimes have to choose it multiple times a day, especially with our job. If you get interrupted and you're just like, it's never, people are like, oh, it's second nature to me. Yeah, it's a habit. I still think if you grind it down to the bones of having that lifestyle, having that active lifestyle, everyone chooses it. Everyone wakes up, and when they're making their mental plan for the day, they say, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. You still have to plan it in. It's not as second nature as people would like to believe it is. And that's why it's so hard for everyone. And that's why starting out, when people are starting out trying to create the space in their life to be active or to integrate some kind of fitness program, there was like, why is it so hard for me? It's like, it's not hard for you. It's hard for everyone. It's just, you have to choose it, and you have to make the space for it. And if you don't, it's not one of those things that you can be wishy-washy about. You're either in it or you're out of it. So that's the tough part of it. The tough part is making the time to be uncomfortable and deciding every day, I'm going to be uncomfortable today. That's what we're doing. So.
Pretty straightforward.
I mean.
Not easy, but straightforward.
Not easy, but I will say it's amazing what, in my experience, making that choice does for your mental health.
Hey friends, I want to take a quick moment to ask you to support the show by leaving a rating and a review on your favorite platform. Your support means the world to us, and it helps spread the message to even more people. We've gotten thousands and thousands of listeners, and those high ratings help our show become more discoverable, allowing us to reach even more listeners and make an even greater impact. So, if you've enjoyed what you heard so far, please take a moment to leave a rating and a review. It only takes a few seconds, and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much, and now let's get back to the show. Tell me more.
Tell me more. Well, it's... There are times, so I used to do a lot of jujitsu, and I would tell people, or I don't like I just tell people things. When people would ask me if I liked it or whatever, I'd be like, it's the best therapy I've ever been to, because you cannot think of anything else than not getting choked out or not getting a joint manipulation that's going to make you break your arm. Like it's all you can think about. So there's no room to go off on these tangential thought processes that end up spiraling you down a hole. I feel like it's the same with any exercise. Maybe to me, not as all-consuming, because I've never done anything where my hair gets sweaty like jujitsu. But you're working out, you're miserable. There's no space in your mind for anything else. So it's almost like that break you get from your own head. You're in a spot during the day. Everyone gets there. You're just sitting here. If you weren't here, I'd just be staring out the window thinking about, either making lists of all the shit that I haven't done that I need to do, or trying to figure out how to make my kids less crazy, or whatever it is that people think about. If they're perseverating on a bad call, whatever. They're sitting there thinking about it. What a nice way to fucking give your brain a break. And you go down or you go out, you do something for an hour and a half where, for the most part, all you can focus on is not dying and controlling your breath. And it's something physical and something you can physically control, whereas your mind, you can't always reel that in. What a nice way to reset. And, sometimes when you come back, all that stuff that was stirring around up there, maybe it's settled down into its homeostatic state, and you're much more adept to processing those thoughts, those problems, whatever. I don't know. I think, and as someone who probably should go to therapy but never has, to me, it's my brain break. It's, and you look at the science and all the endorphins and all the chemicals it creates, whatever. If anything, it just gives you a break from yourself, where you can control the outcome, you can control how much effort you put in, and you can control what you get out of it. So otherwise you just become stagnant, and all of those paths you wish you weren't walking down for whatever reason that you don't get a break from just continue to eat away, and it ruins your whole day. I've been on those, you get in and out of it, and I can sit here and say that you have to make that choice and you choose it every day. I don't choose it every day. There are days where I'm like, not today, Satan. I don't feel like it. And those are the days that I should, and those are the days that I end up feeling worse, because I haven't given myself that break, or I haven't given myself time to process something other than my own thoughts. Oh, I don't know. Ramble. I just ramble.
No, this is perfect for podcasting. The worst kind of guess is the ones that you ask them a question and they answer like,
Yes.
right. Yes, next.
Next question.
You're like, oh man, it's like pulling teeth here. What are your goals and aspirations
Oh
for
my
the fire service? No, like it's a question. And you know what? There is zero judgment because most people expect like, well, I would like to promote. I want to be a chief one day.
Really just want to be useful. It's, I just want to be like a useful member, someone where, you know, like, sure, do I want to drive eventually? Sure. Do I want to promote? May probably not yet. God, not anytime soon. I'm still on probation. That's why, like, you know, people hearing this be like, well, she's still on probation, rookie. Right now, I just want to be someone who, when you're looking at telestaff and you see I'm on your shift, you're like, good. Like, bet. I can rely on that person. I don't have to worry that they're going to come in and not gel with the shift or not pull their weight or not know what they're doing, or I'm going to have to follow them around and they're going to be more of a hindrance than a help. That is my current goal. And I say current, it will probably always be my goal. I will always want to be someone who is useful on a team. And useful in a situation of crisis. You know, that's what I want. Do I have, like, you know, and again, it goes back to the snap decision. I wake up every day and I'm like, yeah, I want to be, I went to medic school. I would like to be a TAC medic. I mean, I think that would be cool. I want to, there's so many options here in Howard County, which is nice.
And I love that you qualified that my goal now is, my aspiration right now is to be useful, because that speaks to the fact that we as people evolve and so do our goals.
Right.
And while you might be saying, I mean, I'll use myself as an example. I came in and I was going to do 30 years. I was going to promote. Educationally speaking, I think if you look at leads, I don't know, some sort of chief, because of a couple of degrees that I have. Like, educational wise, it could put me up there.
Sure.
And as time goes on, the goals change.
Right. And that's why I don't know, because every day I'm like, well, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do that. But the constant is I want to be a person who other people can comfortably rely on and know that I'm not going to drop the proverbial ball or be a burden on a shift. Like, I just want to be useful. And I think now, and it just dawned on me, that Dave Angelo asked me that same question 6 years ago, and that was my answer then too. And it's still funny to me that rings true. Because it does. I don't know. You've been on, I'm sure, calls with people who are just in the way. You don't want to be that person. So that will probably always be the goal. How that changes depending on my role, we'll see. Do I feel ready to be anything else yet? Nope.
I mean, you're enjoying that life of just being told what to do, when to do it, where to, like,
Love it. Did you enjoy your coffee? I've been making coffee for 3 years. 3 years
delicious.
On a probation. I should know how to make
coffee. It is so good. It is so good. There was a floor lieutenant who used to come to our station and demand tea. Nobody at our station drinks tea.
Yeah.
I made all the tea bags disappear. The guys were like, dude, you're going to get us in trouble. I'm like, I just want the mayhem. Like, I just want him to try to do... Because nobody here knows how to make tea correctly, so let's just let him do his own thing. Don't be like me.
I won't. I don't know how to make tea, though.
I don't
make this...
Tea is one of those things that, like, it's so... it divides people. People are like, you have to steep it for this amount and leave it there or not leave it there. And like people get into fights about that. Then I'm like, y'all do your own thing.
Right.
Like if we can't get along, then we're just making the tea bags disappear.
I'm gonna go ahead and clean this toilet while you guys figure it out.
With a toothbrush.
Your tooth. Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't get that luxury.
Huh?
What is the one failure that you cherish the most?
Oh, was that on the list?
Oh, absolutely not. That is the clincher.
That is not something you should spring on someone.
That's the whole point.
There's so many
You're
to
on the
choose
spot
from.
and you're primed and ready.
There are different degrees of failure. And I would say the failure that kind of jump-started me down this path that I'm currently on was probably the most important one, even though it's the one that happened in my late, I was not a child that as a parent you would feel comfortable that they are going to make something of their life. I was not a kid that when my parents would go out somewhere with their friends and they ask how your kids are, I wasn't the one they talked about. I have a very successful sister who, full ride to college, never got in trouble, had a successful path, did a good job at all that stuff. I wasn't that kid. So I think though while I'm sure I have misstepped plenty since I've been on this road, that initial fork, that's the most important one. Because like I said in the beginning, had I not fallen so far from a successful person that I, get released from a holding cell, 2 planes fly into a building, and then I'm like, oh, I fucking better just join the military, because what else am I going to do? Had that not happened, who knows? I can't imagine it was anything good. Like thinking about what I used to be as a person, and then managing to fall into one of the careers in the military that is the most beneficial outside of the military, if that makes sense. I mean, we're not to sound whatever, to get out of the military and make 6 figures with no degree whatsoever, based solely on what you did and the battalion you were in the military. Like that was a lucky place to be found. So I think that walking a path of failure in my very formidable years, and then having the wherewithal to take that right instead of the left, I would not be where I am today. 100%. 110%. And people are always like, well, would you want your kids to join the military? Absolutely, yes. If there's ever a question, it's very cliche, well, do you think it's a good idea to put troubled kids into the military? If you can convince them to buy into it, and you can get them in a place where it's going to end up being beneficial, absolutely. If it can work for me, it can work for anyone. But yeah, I think, like I said, sure, missteps along the way. I've been divorced a couple times, but I've landed on the other side of that. I have a great family. You're sitting in a house that I very much love. It smells nice in here.
Like your plants?
Thanks. It's my favorite plant. Yeah. But those failures that early on, I think, when I think back about how lucky, I mean, just the fucking sheer luck that I'm not dead. Thinking about the things that I've done in those times, like the questionable, what were you thinking things, and ending up here where I am now, I couldn't be more grateful that the powers that be, or whatever universal pull, decided to make sure that I ended up on the right side of things. So I'm sure you wanted something more solid, like, hey, this one time.
No, that was absolutely perfect. Your story is incredible. As an immigrant, on behalf of all of us, you've done enough work in a couple years for, like, more than people do in lifetimes and in generations. And it speaks volumes to your character, being able to help those who are just beyond in need.
Well, it's very having seen what it takes to get here, I think a lot of people take it for granted. And I feel like, as a natural born citizen, my responsibility to do a job where I'm giving, there are so many people fighting so hard to be here. You know, people talk shit about this country all the time. There are people killing themselves for 15 years trying to navigate legislation that is written in another language, that so now you have to and figure out how they're fighting so hard to become members of this country that it's only fair that the people who were lucky enough to be given it for free try to give some part of that back. Even if it's not like us, where you're dedicating your adult life to giving back. But having that experience and dealing with so many people and seeing what it's like seeing what the process of immigration is like it gives you a whole new perspective, and it gives you a whole new sense of levity and gravity of the situation, of what people are willing to do to get here. Just seeing all those people willing, the amount of, and I know we're kind of circling back, the amount of trust I was given by those, whatever math you did, people, where they've never
3740.
They don't know who I am. They know me on a text message or a phone call or a WhatsApp or Signal, whatever we were using. And I'm saying, hey, go here and get on this bus, and I'm going to bus you 4 hours to freedom. And they did it. Like, that's the kind of, these are the people, that's how bad it is. That's what they're fleeing. When they're willing to take the word of some person they've never even seen to put their whole family, put their babies. We had a whole bus once that was just babies. It was just orphans. To put them all in a bus, and I'm going to say, don't worry, I got you. You're going to be okay. I know it's going to be a tough ride, and we're going to go through 6 checkpoints that we've already paid off. Don't worry about it. Just do what you're told. And you're going to stay in this hotel. Don't worry, I'll get you food. Food will show up. And I'm going to drive you to this airport, and don't worry about the scary men. I've already talked to them. The fact that people were willing to just do that, sight unseen, wild. Wild.
How do I even follow that ending? After we finish recording, I'll be honest with you, I had tears in my eyes after the conversation about the people who basically risk it all to come to the U.S. Because as a first-generation immigrant, I know what that's like, and I'm super honored to have had Katy on and to call her a friend, because she has poured her whole life into helping others. And those who have no means of repaying her, and those who otherwise would be legitimately lost. And it speaks volumes to the character
to her character, to the kind of person that she is. So I hope you enjoyed the 3-part episode, trying that new thing to make it a little bit shorter, easier to digest. I'm not a big fan of those hour and a half episodes just because life's busy and none of us have time to sit down and do all this stuff. But yeah, I'm still kind of shocked by this whole thing. So instead of dwelling on it, let's move on into everyone's favorite part, which is where we give the patron shout-outs. If you are new here, what we do is at the end of every episode, and we kind of waited until the end of the full episode, part 3. At the end of every podcast episode, we do a shout-out to those guys and gals who have pledged to become part of the Keep the Promise online community. It's one of the perks they get. It's cool. Look, I've gotten a shout-out on a podcast before, and I literally ran around telling all my friends and fast-forwarding to the spot where they said my name, because it feels awesome. But I also love highlighting the community aspect, and for other people to realize that we are all over the world, as you're about to see or hear. And I don't know, it feels good. It feels good being part of a community, right? We've all experienced it. We've all been in the firehouse when we feel like we belong. So it's just cool. So if you're new here, this is what we're doing. Without further ado, a shout out goes out to Cameron from Olympia, Washington, Jeremy from Karnak, Texas, Lisa from Clemson, South Carolina, Amanda from Belleville, North Carolina. I probably mispronounced that because North Carolina, but anyway, Matt from Helena, Alabama. Why did I think that was in Washington? Anyway, Jake from Ording, Washington. You guys are killing me. Drew from Ferris, Texas. Andre from Southfield, Michigan. Tyler from Aberdeen, Mississippi. We also have an Aberdeen in Maryland, but apparently there's one in Mississippi as well. That's what's up. Dalton from Bridgeton, Missouri. Carolyn from Stewart, Florida. Oh, Florida. Tony from St. Cloud, Florida. Elijah from Palmer, Alaska. I'm never complaining about the cold again. Elijah. Nick from Morganton, North Carolina. Caleb from Marshfield, Missouri. Brian from Hartford, Michigan. And our newest member, neighbor from up north, Evan from Q Cove, British Columbia, and Canada. Guys and gals, thank you so much for the unwavering support and keep the promise. You believe in what we're doing here. You are the reason the fire service will always be doing well, because you are going out there, putting yourself out there, and bringing back lessons to your people, and every day working to be a better firefighter. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for supporting this. Thank you for listening to the podcast. It's a ton more amazing content that's going to be coming your way. Can't wait to share it with you. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, it's TJ here from Keep the Promise. As you know, this podcast is all about helping firefighters become more resilient and well-rounded so that they can be a force for good within their fire department and their community. But today I want to talk to you about something that's just as important, and that is supporting firefighters who are going through tough times. When one of our fellow firefighters is off work because they have to go to the Center for Excellence, they have to go to rehab, they have mental health issues, or they have other health issues, it really takes away their support system, and it wreaks havoc on their finances and their family's finances. And many times, these brothers and sisters are left to struggle alone, away from their support system and the people who love them, without the resources they need to recover. That's why I'm setting a bold new goal. And that is to reach 150 total patrons on Patreon so that we can start a fund to help firefighters and their families during these challenging times. And I need your help to make it happen. With your support on Patreon, we'll be able to provide financial assistance to firefighter families who are battling things like addiction, depression, and cancer. We're going to help alleviate the financial strain that can come with being away from the fire department so that our brothers and sisters can focus on healing and recovering. Now, reaching 150 total patrons is a big goal, but I believe that we can do it together. And when we do, we'll be able to make a real difference in the lives of those who serve and protect alongside us. So,
If you're not already a patron, I invite you to join us today. Head over to joinkeepthepromise.com and sign up today. Again, that is joinkeepthepromise.com. And if you already are a patron, thank you so much for your support. You'll be receiving some exclusive rewards and perks as a way of saying thanks. Together, let's show our fellow firefighters that we've got their back just like they always have ours. Thank you for listening. Let's get started with the episode.